So you want to run a water pump on solar power, right? And I bet you've already asked yourself the number one question: how many solar panels do I actually need? Well, let's get right into it, because a lot of the standard advice you'll find floating around the internet is honestly dangerously wrong. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cutting through all the noise and looking at the absolute engineering reality of sizing a solar water pump so you can build a setup that actually survives in the real world.
Here's our game plan for today. We're going to bust the solar sizing myth, calculate your true energy needs, and look at real-world efficiency losses. Then, we'll size up those batteries and inverters, tackle the hidden danger of motor surge, and wrap it all up with system safety.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the solar sizing myth, and why we need to look way beyond just the wattage.
You see, there's a huge gap between what amateur online guides tell you and what actual engineers do. The typical advice usually just looks at the rated power of the pump and assumes a perfectly magical 100% efficiency. It completely ignores the massive jolt of current needed just to get the motor spinning. But the engineering reality? We have to account for system losses, battery stress, and that huge initial startup surge. Because if you ignore this stuff, best case, you get a sluggish pump. Worst case, you're looking at melted wires, dead inverters, and completely ruined batteries.
Moving right along to part 2, calculating your true energy needs, or finding your actual load.
To get this right, we've got a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, find your pump's power in watts. You can usually just peek at the nameplate stamped right on the pump for this. Step 2, figure out your daily runtime. Like, honestly ask yourself, how many hours a day does this pump really need to run? And step 3, just multiply those two numbers together to get your daily energy consumption in watt hours.
Let's make this totally concrete. Say you've got a 500-watt pump and you need it turning for 3 hours a day. 500 watts times 3 hours, that gives us a baseline of 1,500 watt-hours per day. That is the exact amount of energy your solar panels and batteries absolutely have to supply. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, hold your horses, because we are definitely not done yet. Which brings us to part 3, real-world efficiency losses, dealing with system inefficiencies. Okay, let's talk about the invisible energy vampires in your system. We're talking about things like inverter efficiency losses. We're talking about temperature. Crazy enough, really hot weather actually makes your solar panels less efficient. Then you've got cable resistance, pesky dust building up on the panels, and MPPT conversion losses. Basically, heat, dust, and electrical resistance are actively stealing your hard-earned power day in and day out.
So, what does this mean for our math? Well, theoretically, if you divide that 1,500 watt-hours by, let's say, 5 peaks on hours, you'd think you only need 300 watts of solar panels. But in the real world, when we bake in an 80% system efficiency margin to cover all those invisible drains we just talked about, boom, we actually need 375 watts. You absolutely have to buy more panels than the basic formula suggests, otherwise your batteries are just never going to fully charge.
All right, on to part 4, sizing batteries and inverters for safe energy storage.
When you're putting together your battery bank, voltage is a massive deal. Compared to your standard 12-volt setups, 24-volt or even 48-volt systems are just light years better for water pumps. Why? Because lower voltage systems need way more current to deliver the exact same amount of juice, and that causes voltage sag, which eats your batteries alive. By bumping up the voltage, you drop that DC current draw way down, and less current means smaller cable losses and a much more efficient system overall.
Now, let's dive into part 5, the motor surge danger. I like to call this the hidden beast. Here's the thing about water pumps. They use induction motors, which means they act like total power hogs the split second you turn them on. This is called motor startup surge. It's a massive, temporary power spike that these motors demand just to wake up and get moving. And listen to this. That surge can easily be 2 to 5 times higher than the normal running current. It all depends on your pump type, the water pressure, and the motor itself.
Just picture the wild difference between the steady, humming power your pump uses while it's running and that gigantic spike it needs at startup. If your pump needs 500 watts to run, it might need a whopping 2,500 watts just to turn on. If you buy an inverter based only on running watts, the second that pump tries to start, it's going to overload, hiccup, restart, and eventually just shut your whole system down. Your inverter literally has to be built to handle that surge.
Oh, and here is a totally non-negotiable rule. Your inverter must, and I mean absolutely must, be a pure sine wave inverter. Please, Do not try to cut corners and save a few bucks by buying a modified sine wave inverter. It's a rookie mistake. They make the motor run incredibly hot, they ruin your pump's performance, and the efficiency is just garbage. To handle that monster surge and actually run smoothly, a pure sine wave inverter is your only real option.
Finally, we arrive at part 6, system safety and wiring.
Now, I know this sounds like a bunch of dense engineering jargon, but these are real-world risks with extremely serious consequences. Remember that high starting current? That's a prime recipe for overloading your inverter. What about using really long or undersized cables? That's going to give you severe voltage drop, which basically strangles your motor. And if you use the wrong fuses or leave your connections loose, you are literally looking at a fire hazard. Those high current spikes will straight up destroy your setup if it isn't properly protected.
So let's run through a quick, rapid-fire safety checklist to make sure you build this thing like a pro. Number 1, always disconnect the power before you mess with your equipment. Number 2, make sure you're using cables rated for your exact current and distance. Number 3, install the right fuses and breakers, and seriously, never try to bypass them. And lastly, make sure everything is properly grounded. Loose wires get dangerously hot, so keep those connections tight and completely corrosion-free. Electrical safety always comes first, guys.
So there you have it. We've mapped out the real math, exposed those sneaky efficiency losses, tackled the beast that is motor surge, and laid down the law on safety. Sizing a solar water pump is obviously a whole lot more involved than just throwing a few panels at a motor, right? Because think about it, what actually happens if your system fails on the absolute hottest day of the summer, right when you need water the most? You don't want a simple math error leaving you completely dry. So I'll leave you with this. What size pump are you trying to run, and what are your true daily energy needs? Grab these formulas, run your own numbers, and engineer a system that is actually built to last. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and happy building.